All right, hello everyone. Happy Tuesday. We have an upper body strength and conditioning session today. Yes, we're gonna get you started with a warm up. No equipment needed, just a body and our mat. But we will need some stuff, including our chair or our bench, our ottoman, something along those lines. And then tucked underneath there, I have my 8-pound dumbbells as well as my loop bands. The other thing that you can incorporate as per usual on our upper body days is your TRX, because we're going to be doing lots of that rowing stuff, which you can utilize that TRX for. Okay, so let's start you off right away. Down on the floor, best place to start our sessions. In our all-four position, we want to make sure we're all stacked up, shoulders on the wrists, hips on the knees, and we are going to thread the needle to loosen up, open up our mid and upper back. Taking this hand with an inhale, reaching it through and underneath our body over to the other side, exhaling as we open and follow that hand with our eyeballs, trying to see the ceiling right above ourselves. We are doing 10 of these on each side. As we go through each rep, we're trying to, once again, increase our range of motion, but not move our legs or our hips. So we want to make sure that we're moving through that low, mid, and upper back, but not the legs. We'll keep those ones still. 10 over here, and then we will switch and do 10 on the other side. Again, you might feel a little bit tight on those first few reps, but that's why we're here. Hopefully you'll get a little bit looser as you work through your 10 and 10. And again, we want to be using that exhale as we open, which is going to help us increase that range, get that a little bit bigger as we go through them. Once you finish, don't go anywhere. We're going to stay down here, work with that scapula retraction. So that's just for our upper back, where we're trying to squeeze our shoulder blades together and then exhale and spread them apart as far as we can go. Same deal here. We want to make sure that we're not moving the legs. We also want to limit the range through our lower back so that we're not arching or rounding our back, but rather we're moving through the shoulder blades. So if there was something between your shoulder blades, we're trying to pull them together and then spread them apart away and together from that something. 10 of these total. Same thing here. We'll try to get them a little bit bigger as we go through our 10 reps total. And then we're going to stand up, and then we're going to swing out our arms, palms facing down. We know the drill on this one. As we swing the arms, we're trying to allow them to come back behind the body, alternating which one goes up, which one goes down. Each one is a rep. We are doing 20 of these. You got to count them. Trying to stand up nice and tall, keep those arms straight. And this one's also going to probably get that burning sensation brewing in our shoulders and our upper body, which is what we're going for here. So we'll work through 20. Once we're finished those, we're going to start to draw small circles, keeping them little, going through 10 in one direction. And these ones are going to start to get that burn if it wasn't started already. 10 one way, and then we'll stop, and we'll do 10 the other. Again, keeping them small circles with our palms facing the floor. As we finish up 10 and 10, we will relax our arms down by our sides. Now we're going to do 5 each way with these straight arms down by our sides. We will feel much more limited in these ones, like we can't really move them as much, and that's okay. We're trying to keep the arms down by our sides. 5, one direction, and then we will stop and do 5 in the other direction. We got one more circle type movement in this warm-up, and it's for our necks. We're going to take her slow. Start off by tucking our chin to our chest, and then slowly bring that ear to shoulder, looking up to the ceiling, rounding all the way across other ear to the shoulder until we're back in that starting position. When we reach this point, we will go back that same direction that we came through, all the way around, and we're going to do this one twice. So there and back is 1, and we'll go through one more time, again, taking our sweet time. We don't want to rush this one, especially with the neck. We want to take the time, especially at this hour of the day. We most likely haven't done too much before this. So this one's going to help us loosen up all those muscles that we often talk about, the front, back, and the sides of our neck. Okay, so we're going to finish off this warm-up back down on the floor. We're going to get you going through one more set of those scapula retractions where we pulled and spread our shoulder blades. But in this last set, we're going to pop you up into a plank position. So we're in this full plank, hands and toes, squeezing the shoulders, spreading them apart as far as we can, getting our body, our upper back, our shoulder blades ready and prepped for our push-ups that we're going to start with. So we'll get you going through 10 reps total of those ones down there. And then if you would like, you could potentially just stay down there because we are starting off with push-ups. So I gave you a little teaser there. Today, we are doing 1 minute of push-ups. So you're going to have 60 seconds to do as many push-ups as you can, as you please to do, preferably working consistently through this full minute. We will take 1 minute of rest in between every round, and we are going to have 3 opportunities to see how many push-ups we can get. So we have been here before. It has been a while since we've done this 60 seconds of push-ups, but if you recall, this is not easy. The minute of rest that we're going to take in between, we will be doing nothing, and then again, we'll go back down and complete 3 rounds total. So if you're not already down here, come on down onto the floor. We have our timer set here. It's going to essentially just beep every 60 seconds. First round is going to start in about 5 seconds. So take a couple deep breaths. Get yourself set up in that full plank position. Hands are wider than normal in our plank. We want them outside of our shoulders. Starting in 3, 2, 1, and here we go. Seeing how many push-ups we can get. If you would like, you can count them, but you don't necessarily have to. You can just kind of work through and just push yourself and see how many you can get. The other thing is that we can absolutely take breaks. Don't feel like you have to hold that plank position the entire time. Some of us, you might have no problemo doing such a thing, but others are really going to struggle with this one, especially if you're still working up to, doing 10 plus push-ups. You might want to do 1 or 2, rest on your knees, pop back up, do another 1 or 2 or 5 or however many you can get in a row. 20 seconds left, my friends. So we'll try to see if we can at least get a few more in the amount of time that we have. Again, remembering that exhale is your power. So anytime we're struggling, which is at the bottom here, we want to exhale, push ourselves off the floor. Last one, 3, 2, 1, and time. So we're going to take 60 seconds of full-on rest now, which I realize I actually accidentally set my timer a little bit wrong here, but that's okay. Timer started for that minute. If you'd like, you can stand up, walk around, grab some water, swing out your arms, roll out your shoulders, do whatever you want to do. Don't go too far though, because we will be going back down there for our second and again our third set of these ones. We have 2 more sets. So if you did indeed count how many that you got, then we will try our very best with all of our might to get the same amount of push-ups that you got in that first round. But if you didn't count, then don't worry about it. And we'll just see if we can, again, push ourselves maybe a little bit harder than we did in that first round. We're looking for that extremely uncomfortable feeling that you are going to, you probably already felt in that first set. 10 seconds left before we are going to get you going on our second round of these AMRAP, which is our as many reps as possible acronym push-ups. Ready? Well, ready or not. 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Going through our second set, seeing how many we can get. Now, again, some of us are still working on our push-ups. Okay, if you're good to go, if you could push up for the entire minute or, do quite a few of these, then you just keep doing your thing. But if you are even maybe struggling to get 1 or 2 in a row, then this is a really great opportunity for you to work on that negative lowering phase of the push-up. Because usually the hardest part of the push-up is to maintain that plank position while we're going through that very demanding movement of having to push ourselves off the floor. So in order to get stronger at that, if we slowly lower down, use the knees on the way up, and then reset so that we're getting that challenging lowering phase, that is going to help us get a lot stronger, a lot more efficient at doing our push-ups faster than just sort of flopping down onto the floor. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Okay, nice work. So once again, we're taking a rest. doing what we want to do, sitting down, standing up, standing on the floor, whatever it is. Drinking water is always a good idea between these sets. One more round, okay? And this is going to conclude all of the push-ups that we're doing today. And there are some, sneaky push-up work later on in the week. But for today, this is it, okay? So 30 seconds left. Again, we're trying to take these deep breaths. Let everything rest from, again, our core muscles, which are very involved in this push-up because it is, again, essentially a moving plank. And then, of course, our upper body, our chest, our shoulders. 15 seconds. So we'll get back down there, whether we like it or not, and get ready for our final set. That starts in 3, 2, 1. Let's do it. Okay, this is it, our final round. So again, most of us are going to be very challenged by simply just trying to do push-ups this entire time. That being said, if you want to make it a little bit harder, maybe you're feeling really good in this minute and like you can maintain it no problem, you can also apply that slower negative phase or lowering phase. Even if you can do full body push-ups, it's just overall going to make them feel a lot more challenging than if we just follow that more normal tempo. On the flip side, I mean, if you're doing them faster, you're doing more push-ups, that also will probably increase the intensity. But everyone's different. What we're looking for here is for you to push yourself. Literally, off the floor. 10 more seconds left. So that you really feel like you need to stop, but you're still pushing through, trying to get maybe one more rep. 3, 2, 1, and okay, very nice work, my friend. So we are going to move on. You can stand up. Celebrate the fact that you are done the push-ups for today. We're going to move on to our first superset, which is going to combine 2 exercises. First one is laying on our back. We're going to be working with the chest press. So for that one, we will be using dumbbells. Second exercise is going to be a 2-arm rotational row. For that one, again, I will be using dumbbells. If you have a TRX, hook that bad boy up and you can go ahead and use it for this one. We are also going to talk about how to incorporate our bands if you don't have dumbbells or TRX or anything like that. So let's get this party started on our first superset. Joining me on the floor, then laying on our back, we're using dumbbells, preferably something that's kind of on the light to moderate side, because we are going down here, taking our dumbbells and then squeezing them together to apply that pressure between our arms and hands. The next thing we want to do is pull our shoulders down onto the mat so that they're not floating up like this, but rather they're pulled down, which might make arch in your back, which is completely fine because we're not training our core here. We're trying to focus on the upper body, lowering those dumbbells down in line with our bra line, and then we push up and over our shoulders, going through 15 reps total of these ones here. Now, if you have rounded dumbbells, this can be a little bit sketchy because they can kind of slip off and you might sort of accidentally punch yourself in the hand, and I've done it and it's not fun. So what you can do is put one dumbbell down and then take just a single and hold it on each side like this, and then work through applying that same pressure, which I like to sort of lift my fingertips off to remind myself that I have to squeeze my hands together as we go through this. We want to make sure the elbows are tucked into the body so that they're not flaring out and away. And again, that those shoulders stay fixed down into the floor. 15 of them. Let's get them. Once we're finished these ones, again, we have a superset on the menu. So we're going to stand up, and I'll be using dumbbells. All of these rules are going to apply if you're using your TRX or your bands. We're going to start our standing hip width apart, soft knees, hinging the hips back, palms face the legs, and then we row and rotate so that the palms end up facing the ribs. As we go through our 12 to 15, we have a range here. So we're working through these ones. We can do a more challenging 12 by grabbing heavier weights if we have them, or by pausing this top position here, or we can work up to 15. Again, that range is there for you to choose how many reps you're doing. You can do 13 or 14, somewhere in the middle there. But we want to make sure that we're feeling all of the stuff working in our back, specifically those muscles that run down the sides of our back. So again, if you're TRX in it, then that same thing is going to apply, palms down, and then we row in, and then the palms will end up facing the ribs. We want to be pulling in and slightly apart, and then together, not so the hands are touching, but so that they're coming closer than they end up at the top of that range. So 12 to 15. Once we finish this set, we are doing it again. You have 2 more rounds. So once you're finished this, we're skipping any rest. We're going to take just the time that it takes to get ourselves back down on the floor and go through our second set of that together, pressure applied chest press. So when you're ready, when you're finished your first set of rows, we're going to get right back down into our second round of these chest presses. Now, again, for those of us who don't have dumbbells, or maybe our dumbbells are too heavy or too light, if they're too light, we don't have to worry so much because all we need to do is simply just squeeze our hands and apply more pressure between our hands. But let's say your dumbbells are too heavy. Maybe you don't have dumbbells at all. A good substitute for this one I like to use is grabbing a book or a notebook in our house, because what you can do is hold that book in your hands, squeeze your hands on either side. If you don't have anything like that close, you can simply just push your hands together, because that's where we're getting this work between everything through our upper body, is by applying that pressure. So again, we want to imagine that if I was to come on in through that screen there and try to pull your hands apart, that would not happen because you're keeping them so tight. 15 reps, no range on that first one. So we're going through all 15 of those in that chest press, and then we're up and at them through our second set of those 2-arm rotational rows where we do have that range. And again, that is because some of us do have options in terms of equipment, and we might benefit more from, grabbing something heavier, doing 12, that we might not be able to do for 15, and vice versa. So we'll finish up these chest presses. For those of us who are working with bands, what we're going to do for these bands is not worry so much about that rotation. That rotation is there to help involve a little bit more through our arm muscles and our shoulders. When you're using these bands, let's say you're doing them like this, you're already getting that additional work here and in your shoulders. So we don't have to worry so much about that rotation, but we might have to, again, add in that pause in order to really feel challenged by our 12 to 15 reps of those ones. Okay, 3 sets, right? You did 1, and then you have 2 more. So you're most likely finishing up your second one. So we will get going right away into our third set, and then we are moving on to our next superset. We have 2 more supersets that we're going to work through. So we will hustle, not necessarily in these movements. We want to take our time, not rush through the exercises themselves, but there's no rest because we're working very different things here. From that chest press, which is all about the front, and then we have those rows, which is all about the back. So that means we don't need rest. You might feel like you want some. You're not allowed any yet. Maybe in the next part, no, but in the last part, we will see where we are for the rest. But we'll try to get through this last set in the next 2 minutes. That is the amount of time that we have for this superset to finish this up. So we'll get down there, 15, and then we'll finish up with our final set of those rows and trying to challenge ourselves. Again, you have that range there. If you really want to push yourself, add in those pauses. It's completely fine if you only get 12, as long as you feel like you cannot do 15. Okay, if you feel like you can get 15, then let's get it. 3 extra reps, you probably handle it, depending on what weight you're using, where your feet are underneath that TRX, and so on. So we'll take 60 more seconds here before we shall move on to our next superset, which is going to include our bench, our chair. So if you need to grab it, move it over, clear something off of it so that you can use it, you can go ahead and do so as you finish up that last set of those rows. Okay. So moving on to part 3 of our strength. We're going to start you off with a one-arm row. Now, the same rules apply. If you have dumbbells, if you have a bench, then you're going to do this like I'm going to show you right now. If you have that TRX set up, then you can go ahead and use that holding one hand or one of the handles, and then making sure that you pull it all the way through so that it's tight. Other arm, non-rowing arm, is going to be out to the side, and you can work with a one-arm TRX row. But if you don't have that, then what you're going to preferably do is grab onto your bench, your dumbbells. I'm going to use both of my dumbbells stacked one on top of the other to create a heavier 16-pound dumbbell. Knee and hand is going to be on this bench and chair. That's going to give me that additional support for my core and my lower back. We're going to grab onto this weight. Palm is facing inward. We want to make sure that we're not right underneath our body. To start off this movement, we're going to move this dumbbell out here, and then we pull in and out into that A position. So if I was to stand up, and you saw this from a different angle, we would be here, and then we pull so that that arm is out on that slight angle, not hugged right against the body. So this is us. We're doing 10 reps with a 2-second hold at the top, no matter what. We hold in 1, 2, and that's going to apply to any equipment that you're using. So when you're ready, we can get started on our first round of these rows. Again, we're doing 10 per side, 2-second hold. You can also apply that to our TRX. And again, for those of us who don't have the chair or bench, you know I have options. We're using that for the support of our core. So if you don't have it, what you're going to do is take that non-dumbbell holding arm, place it on that same side leg, and that's going to again give you that same similar support that you would get from that bench or chair. And then we will pull it in, hold for 1, 2. Just showing you with 1, but you can still use 2 dumbbells or 1 heavier dumbbell. And then the bands. You probably know, because we talk about this one quite often, if you're using bands instead of dumbbells, then we're just going to loop that guy underneath our foot and then work with the band. Pull. Going through, again, our 10 with a honest 1, 2 second hold at the top. Okay, so this is our first one that we're working through. First exercise, 10 and 10. Now, the second exercise is also a back movement. We're going to be working with a wide grip row. So what I'm going to do now is take my dumbbells, hold 1 in each hand. Standing nice and tall once again, soft knees, we'll hinge the hips back, turn the palms inward so that they're facing the legs once again, and then the same rules apply. We want to make sure the dumbbells are not touching, but rather they're pulled out slightly the whole time, and then we pull up and away to create this T-grip position, going through 15 reps. No pause at the top, following a normal tempo, 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down. 15 of those ones. And TRXs, we're going to look a little something like this at the top, making sure again that you have that 90-degree angle in the arms, just as we do down in these dumbbell rows. And once you finish 15 of them, we are indeed going to take some rest, because both of these movements are targeting very similar parts of our body. The one-arm row, we got the lats going on, and then that wide grip row, we're also using those guys, as well as the back of the shoulders and the upper back, which you most likely are feeling a lot because of the dynamic and the combination of these two. So we'll take that 30 to 45 seconds of rest, where you can again roll out your shoulders if you like, swing out your arms a few times to help loosen everything up, or you could just stand there, sit there, grab some water, do what you want to do for again 30 to 45 seconds before we go through, again, 2 more sets. So we have 3 rounds total of these 2 movements together. So we'll take this time, rest it out. Probably feeling like you needed a lot more than that first superset. Again, because we had opposing muscle groups, different muscle groups going on, whereas these ones are quite similar. So we want to make sure that we're not jumping right into our second set. If you're feeling a little bit antsy, like you want to get going on your second set, you feel like it wasn't that challenging, then what we need to do is make set number 2 and 3 harder, because you should, again, feel like you need the rest. You should feel very worked in your back muscles. So we have the 2-second pause pre-existing in our one-arm rows. If you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, you can add in an additional 1 to 2 seconds on every single one of those rows. So don't underestimate a 1-second addition of a pause. You can start there. If it's still too easy, then you can add in that additional second to make it a 4-second pause on your last set. So we'll go through our second set, again, holding in for 1, 2, maybe 3 seconds. And again, we're not just pulling in and letting it out. We want to make sure that we're being very active by pulling and wrapping that shoulder blade back and actually thinking about those back muscles that I keep pointing at, these big ones that run down the sides of our back. The more you can be conscious and connect your mind to muscle connection, the more you're going to get out of it, rather than just sort of, pulling in and holding and letting it out. If you actually think about those muscles doing the work to pull your arm up, we're going to help not put too much stress on your arm, because that's not the goal here. The goal is the back. So we'll try to focus on that here on our second set, and of course on our third set, our last one after this one. So we'll get through this second round 10 and 10, and then again we go right into our second exercise, part 2, which is that wide grip T row. So we want to make sure that we're in line T position and that those arms are up here so that our elbows are sitting right underneath our wrists. A very common thing that happens in this one is sort of leading the way with the wrists. We want to make sure that those elbows are being pushed and pulled together up to the ceiling, pushed up towards the top of the shoulder so that we have that angle rather than this little slinky wrist situation that is going to, number 1, strain our wrists, and number 2, not give us as much for the shoulders. The posture correction, which is really what I mention often, but that's what we're going for here. We're trying to train our back muscles to get our shoulders sitting in a better position so that we can have a nice back, but also so that we can stand and sit more upright and overall improve our posture. All right, one more set. Why don't you guys get through that? Giving you lots to think about. So we'll apply that here to our final round. 2 minutes left on the clock for you to finish up this part. We have one more part to our upper body strength. And then we have our conditioning circuit, hot and heavy, sweaty conditioning work that we are going to finish with, which is actually on the short and spicy side, which we will talk about when we get there, of course. I want you to worry about that yet, but we will take again about 1.5 minutes here to get through our last and final set, which is plenty of time. So again, if you are looking to challenge yourself, increase the intensity, then we will hold that in there and try our best again to be consistent every one of our 10 reps per side, so that we feel like we really do not want to do 11. We probably even couldn't, or we could, but it would not be very pretty. That's what we're going for here. So we'll finish up this last set. Again, set that arm outside the rib cage, and then we pull in and slightly out, away from the ribs, so that that arm is not nearly touching our body. So we'll go through these ones, 10 and 10, 15 of our wide grips, and then we are going to move on to our last and final part, which is much less back focused. We got some arm work going on here, some upper body stuff, literally upper for the arms and the shoulders. So as you finish up, if you are already done or as you do come to an end, once again, you can grab some water, shake it out, roll out our shoulders, swing our arms out, do whatever we want to do for, again, about 30 more seconds. And then we'll start to talk about this last and final part, which is going to need all the stuff, including this here chair, which is where we are going to start, our bench, our ottoman, whatever you're using. We are going to be starting off with some dips going off of that guy there. So keep it close. Get yourself mentally prepared to do these sets of dips, which is where we are going to start. We're also going to need our dumbbells, and we also have that option to use TRX, so you can leave that guy hooked up as well. All right, so we're going to start talking about this final superset that we are doing, starting off with our bench or chair dips. So what we want to do is sit on that bench or chair. We're going to walk our hands in so that we're almost sitting on our thumbs. Lower our hips off, but keep them close to that chair or bench. We don't want them way out here. We want them close in. Set our shoulder blades so that we're squeezing them together the whole entire time. Lower ourselves down to 90 degrees, and then exhale and push up to the top. And we have 15 reps on the menu. Now, in these ones here, we know that the straighter the legs, the harder. We can even go so far as to have them all the way straight. And then the bent legs, the easier. So we want to find that little sweet spot somewhere in the middle there that is challenging but manageable for 15 reps. If you don't have bench or chair, you probably have a wall. So you're in your home. And we can do our wall tricep extension instead of that one. And again, work through our 15 reps total. These ones here, the lower the feet, the lower the hands, the more challenging. The higher the feet, the higher the hands, the easier. So same thing, you can sort of walk yourself inch by inch forward and backward until you feel challenged, but not so challenged that you cannot do 15. That is our first one. Then we have another one that we are going to do, which is now about the front of the arms. Probably felt that a lot in your triceps because that is what we are focused on here. A little bit of work in the shoulders and the chest as well. Second movement is all about the arms. We're going to be working with a bicep curl. So all focused on this little muscle that runs down the front of the arm. We're going to take our arms down by our sides here and then pull them slightly in front of us like this, curling up and rotating our palms so that they end up facing our shoulders, uncurling, unrotating so that they're in front of us like this. The other thing that you can use for this one is your TRX. So if you have that set up, if you want to try it out, what you can do is hold it with your palms like this, and then now you can pull in your body, which you'll want to be standing much more upright than the rows, and you can work through that bicep curl with the TRX, which I don't have, so I can't show you, but I can definitely explain. And you can go through your 15 reps, because that's what's up for this one as well, for this bicep curl. So we have those options here. We have the dumbbell, the TRX. The last option that we can use is our bands. So if you are, again, working with a heavier dumbbell, then you don't have to worry so much about having them in front of you. You can have them more by your sides here. But by moving those arms in front, my 8-pound dumbbells feel like they are maybe 10 or 12 pounds because of the leverage that we're putting on our biceps and our shoulders rather than having them down by our sides here. Again, for those of us who are using bands, same thing, we don't have to worry about that rotation, but we do have to worry about keeping that lateral tension on the band and then working, again, with that curl through our 15 reps to beat. Same sets, 3 of them. So we'll finish up this first one. No rest, my friends. We're going to just take the time that it takes us to maybe do a little bit of this because we're going to be feeling a lot of work up in here. And then get going right away into our second and third set of these 2. So back to the dips, back to the triceps, whatever version that you were doing. And then the biceps, 2 more sets total. And then we will be done with this strength work. And we have our last and final part coming up next after this, which is our conditioning. And then we're free to go on this sunny looking Tuesday. Yes. Okay, so we'll get going on our second set. Back to these dips. We want to make sure that we are setting the shoulder blades back. That's going to ensure that they're not rounding and rolling forward. which is putting them into a pretty sketchy position. Whereas if we squeeze the shoulder, just like we had lots of practice in the warm-up with that retraction that we did, that is going to put them into a safer as well as a stronger position and get you much more focus on the triceps so that we don't feel any of that pain, or bad pain brewing in our shoulders. Especially because it's 15 reps. That's quite a few of them. Moving on again to our second set of those rotating bicep curls. So palms face the hips, rotating so that the palms face the shoulders. We're not touching the wrist or the dumbbell to the shoulders. We want to stop up here so that we're still keeping tension. Because as soon as I come all the way up here, where my wrist is above my elbow, I sort of lose the tension on that muscle. So we want to pull up to about here and really just think about the guns, squeezing our arms through those 15 reps. And it burns, as it should, but it should be that creeping up burning sensation that gets worse and worse every rep. You know the one. That's the burn that you can work through. That is what we're looking for here. And you're probably going to feel it more now than you did in the first set, as well as even more in your next set, which, if you recall, is your final one. So we'll finish up strong and we'll get going on it. We have in that 2-minute range. Seems to be a good theme we're following here, good timing. 2 minutes until we are going to start talking about our conditioning work, which I'm going to set our timer for, just to confirm how long it's going to take, because I can't do math. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, so 12 minutes is what's up for our last part. Technically 13, if you want to be technical about it, but we're going to finish up with our short and spicy 13-minute rather, circuit. It's going to take us home, take us to the finish line, today's session. So we'll get through this last set, the dips, the curls, and then we can put all of this stuff away because our final part, our conditioning, is all body weights, which you might be happy to hear. You also might not be happy to hear because oftentimes the body weight stuff is more challenging than the weighted stuff, which we're going to find out. Depends on our bodies, of course, and ourselves. But I'm going to move this chair out of the way so that I have more room. I'm also going to move these dumbbells and bands so that I don't accidentally trip or slip on them. And again, I have more space to work with. The last thing that you might want to do, if you haven't already, is put on that supportive footwear, because we are going to be having some higher impacts and jumping exercises, and having your shoes on will again give you that additional support for your ankles, your knees, your hips, which is always a good idea when we're jumping. And of course, I have options for those of us who don't jump or don't want to jump. If you don't have shoes, that's okay. All right, so we are going to move on to our last and final part. We have 3 exercises. We're going to do them 3 times total. Sounds all right, not too bad. 60 seconds on, 30 seconds off between each of these. So we're going to be working for 1 minute, taking 30 seconds between each of the exercises and between the rounds. There's no additional rest at the end of the round, like sometimes recently we've been having in there. Starting off with this first one, we're going to talk about it. You're going to do it. I'm going to press start on the timer, and then I will show you the other 2 exercises of the circuit in that 30 seconds of rest that we have in between these movements. Again, all you need is space for this one, and your enthusiasm, your ambition, and we're going to get this done. So starting off with this first one, and I have not pressed start on the timer yet. If you want to practice or just watch me, whatever it is, that's okay. We have a walkout variation. So we're standing hip width apart in the feet, soft knees, straight legs. We're walking ourselves down to the bottom. Once we get here, we're going to tap 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we shall walk right back up to the top. Stand tall, and that is going to be asked for 1 minute. Right away, I'm going to show you something to make this a bit more challenging.
Same walkout. When we get to the bottom, we can reach that opposite knee towards the hand. 4, and then we can walk back up to the top, which is just overall going to make this feel a lot harder for those of us who like that kind of thing, who want to really push ourselves, increase the intensity. Are you ready? That's going to be the first one. Again, I'll show you the other 2 on the timer, but we're going to get this first round done, and you have to do this 3 times total, okay? Ready? Ready or not? 3, 2, 1, and let's go. First set, first round. And we'll have 2 more to go after this one. Let's do it. Trying to get through those taps as quickly as possible. But we also want to make sure that we're in control and our hips are not rocking and tilting side to side, but we have control of that situation there to get that additional sneaky core work in that we very often talk about. So we'll see how many we can get, and we're not worried about counting or anything like that, but we want to reach that uncomfortable feeling within this minute, in which you have 25 seconds left of. So we'll try to move quickly in that walkout, quickly in those shoulder taps, and then breathe as we go through this so that we're not holding our breath. 10 seconds left. There you go. So pushing ourselves. Last one. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Very nice work. Okay. So 30 seconds. We're breathing. We're resting. You're watching me because we have our next movement on the menu, which is our lateral ski hops. So we're in this more narrow stance in our feet. We're going to use the length of our mat, sitting our hips back behind us and down. Arms are down by our sides. We're going to jump our feet. 2 feet leave, 2 feet land. Taking these small jumps all the way to one side of our mat, and then we start to jump all the way back to the other side of the mat. Let's go. So what we're trying to do in this one is get more of these hops in. Rather than jumping really far, we want more of them. Taking like 3 or 4 rather than one big one. And again, pacing ourselves so that we can keep doing this for 40 more seconds. That minute-long clock. So in this one, a really easy or simple way to make this harder is to sit lower. On the flip side, you can not sit so low and not involve as much leg, but we still want to move quickly, land soft. For those of us who don't jump, you probably already presumed, because we do this one quite often, you can stay in place and just shoot up onto your toes, sending those arms above your head, and again, working as quickly as you can. 5 seconds left. There you go. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Okay, 30 seconds. Last one is our 10 by 10 jacks. So you got to count these ones a little bit. We're going to do 10 jumping jacks up here, and then we are going to jump down and do 10 plank jacks down here. Come back up and do that as many times as we can in a minute. Starting in 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Let's do it. 10 jacks standing, 10 plank jacks. And for those of us who do not jump, we are going to move quickly in our low impact jumping jacks. And then same thing, step out. And then we have our low impact plank jacks. Step in. Yes, there we go. So again, trying to push ourselves here. 30 seconds left. And this first round is really going to set the standard on what we want to do and what we need to do on our next 2 rounds. So we want to push ourselves. We're nice and fresh, although we did all that upper body strength work. But in terms of our cardio, our conditioning, now is when you're going to feel the best. So let's try to push ourselves as hard as we can. 10 seconds left. Okay, one more cycle of both those jacks. And that's going to conclude our first round. 3, 2, 1. Okay, my friends. So you're going to feel better if you keep moving between these rounds in this 30 seconds. So you can pace your room, do a couple laps of your mat, or you can simply just sort of stay in place, tap your toes so that you're not just standing still or sitting or whatever it is. Second set. Okay, and we have 2 more.
And we are done this stuff and done our session. A couple stretches, of course. Here we go, though. Second round, back to our first one. I'll walk out to shoulder tap. Walk them back up. Let's go into our second set. So yeah, you remember the first round, that ambitious round. We went so fast. That's what we need here again. Trying to stay consistent and even to what you did in the first set. You are halfway there. Then we have that full 30 seconds of rest, which I know doesn't feel like a lot, but is a little bit more than we normally have within these conditioning rounds, which means that we need to push ourselves harder so that we can really earn our rest, get ourselves to that uncomfortable feeling, you know the one I'm talking about. That's why we're here. 10 seconds left. Try to go for 1 or 2 more of these full cycles. And nice work. Okay. Stand it up. Keep it moving. Then we can grab water between these rounds into our second one, our lateral ski hops, the ones that have that sneaky leg burn in them. Yes. But again, you're in control of that. You can make that more or less. Most important is that you stay moving and you move quickly this whole time. 3, 2, 1, and let's go. So we're trying to achieve that straight body situation, leading and landing in the exact same place. Trying to get straight, arms above the head between every one of those jumps. And again, this is not our first day at the rodeo. We've done these many times, so hopefully you're feeling good about your technique and form. But if you really need that reminder, we want to end up straight and then back in that same position that we started in. For 30 more seconds, as we start to get tired, as we start to feel like we want to slow down and kind of just, bounce along, we'll really try to lock it in here. 15 seconds left. There it is. And breathing. Okay, let's go, let's go. A couple more, 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Very nice work. Okay, 10 jacks. So we'll work through our second set. One more round after this, y'all. We are done. So deep breaths. 10 seconds left of our rest round before we start these jacks. And I mean, with jumping jacks, like most of the stuff, can be pretty easy, right? You can just kind of hop along and go at that kind of slower pace, especially if you are low impact. You gotta really be conscious and aware that you need to push yourself. I mean, I can only explain and tell you so many times, but you have to put in that extra little oomph and really make yourself move faster, your hands, your feet, all of it, because you're going to get more out of this. You're going to feel better mentally, physically, maybe not so much physically in the moment, but you're going to feel way better after we're finished the circuit, after we're finished the round, for the rest of the day, for the rest of the week. If you know that you gave this all you got, you have 20 seconds left. So let's get it moving faster. Faster in the jacks, faster in the plank jacks, which I know those ones are a lot harder than our standing ones. So we'll try to have the same pace in both of them. 5 seconds left here. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. All right. Nice work. Good job. So we have one more set. And then we are done. We're going to stretch it out. We have 3 stretches that we're going to do together. And we are free to go. Get on with the day. Start your day, whatever you're doing today. 10 seconds. Breathing, resting, sip of water. Come to the end of your mat. Get ready to start in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Last set of our walkout to 1, 2, 3, 4 shoulder taps. Trying to make those quickly, but again, have a bit more control. Every time you walk out, you go for those shoulder taps. We want to really tighten up our core. If you're feeling like you can't control that hip tilt, widen up your feet a little bit. See if that helps you out to help keep your hips tighter. Have that core working. Feeling 30 seconds left here. You got this. So we'll finish strong. This is the last time you're here for today, for the week. So let's get it in. Finishing just as strong as we started that first round. Remember how you felt? I already told you were going to feel good in the first round, and now you see why. 10 more seconds left. Let's go for one more of these. At least, let's go. Let's go, let's go. And nice work. Okay, my friends, we are breathing, we are resting, getting ready for our lateral ski hops. Potentially the hardest one. I mean, these ones are always the death of me. They always really get it going on here. It's always that leg addition that really cranks it up a notch. 10 seconds left of our rest. And deep breaths. Come on over to one side of your mat. Get ready. Get set. And let's go through our last round of these ones. Again, thinking about getting more of these in. Rather than more times there and back, we want more of these jumps. So maybe that means you're not even moving that far, especially if you don't have much space like me. Then you might be taking not even a hip width jump. But you're going to get more of them in. It's going to take you longer to get there and back. And overall, it's going to make it more challenging because you have to move faster to get that same distance. 20 seconds left. Let's do it. Last set, which is great news when you're doing this one, I know. So it's as strong as we can. 10 seconds left. Get those arms above your head. Get that straight body situation between each jump. 3, 2, 1. Woo! Done those ones. Always a very nice feeling. Okay, so we have our last one. Our final movement of the circuit are 10 by 10 jacks. So again, we will try to have our strongest jumping jacks, our most powerful, intense ones that we can have, especially when we're feeling like this. Get ready for them. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Try and move quickly, moving the arms, moving the feet together on both of these. High impact, low impact. It doesn't matter what you're doing. What matters is that you are pushing yourself. Again, so that we earn this rest, so that we feel good, we feel accomplished, knowing that we gave it everything. We didn't leave anything in the tank, which can be really hard to do, especially, you're at home. I am through a screen, yes, but no one can really see you, right? So it's a lot harder to push yourself, but I always want you to get the most out of these sessions. And now is your opportunity to do so in this last 20 seconds. When you're tired, you want to stop. Your body is done, your mind is done, but you're actually not. So let's finish up strong here. 15 seconds left, and then you actually will be done. I want you feeling good, feeling strong. 3, 2, 1, and time. And we are done. Nice work. So 2 minutes on the clock, which is just our rest time. We're not doing anything else but resting for 2 minutes. And then we are going to dedicate the last 2 or 3 minutes of our session to stretches for our upper body, a little bit in the lower body, our calves as well, because we did all that jumping around. But we don't want to go into those stretches until you feel back to normal. You're not going to feel 100% normal. You're probably still feeling quite hot and heavy. But we want to be able to actually have a conversation, answer a question if you were asked of it, which you are most likely not feeling that way right now. You're probably feeling huffing and puffing, like you can't really catch your breath. Moving helps. So keep doing those laps. Keep walking around. Deep breaths, low chest breaths. Send that air into your belly, into those deep lungs. And drink some water, because you're going to need it to overall feel good after doing it. We have 3 stretches that we're going to do. The first one is for our calves, this lower leg muscle here, because again, we did all that jumping around. So once you're feeling sort of more back to normal, we still have about 45 seconds of that 2 minutes where
all we need to do is rest. But some of us are going to recover a lot quicker than others, which I mean is the goal. And that's another reason why we're doing all this cardio and conditioning work, so that we can get more fit and that we can improve our recovery time. So as you start to feel good, feel ready, you can come on and join me in this calf stretch here. We're going to hold this for a count of 10 deep breaths. We're going to stay here, leaning into that front leg, making sure that that back foot is straight. We don't have an angle on it. Our toes are pointed straight towards that wall in front of us. And again, we're into that stretch, opening up that lower leg muscle in the back, our calf. And we're holding this here for 10 inhale, exhale cycles. Or if you have a clock handy, it's about 30 seconds on each side. And we'll hold this here. Again, trying to take those deep breaths. Oh, celebrate the fact that we are done. All that work, that strength, that cardio is not easy stuff. But hopefully you feel good, especially because you're done. And we'll go ahead and do the other side as well. So same thing, again about that 30 seconds, 10 cycles of inhale, exhales, and we will hold this here. There are 2 more stretches that we are going to get through together. And as per usual, if you would like to come back and repeat this stretch circuit, you can do another 1, 2, or 3 rounds of this, including the calves here, and then the other 2 that we're doing. Especially if you're feeling tight down there or up in your shoulders and chest, it's overall going to help you loosen up a little bit more. The other reason why you would come back and do another set of these ones is if you're trying to improve your posture. If you know you're sort of doing a little bit of the slouchy situation, these stretches are going to help promote your shoulders to come back. Door frame is ideal. So if you have a door frame close to you, put one hand on each side, step through that door frame. You can also use your handles of your TRX and allow them to just pull your arms back behind you. I'm going to use this here wall, so I have one hand on each side. And then again, we can stand our feet and just lean into the stretch, opening up that chest and shoulders. If you don't have a corner, a wall, a TRX, anything like that, you probably have a single wall. So we'll put the hand on it, and then we'll turn our bodies away from that hand. We'll do just one side at a time. 30 seconds on this side, 30 seconds on the other. But it's going to save you some time to just do both sides at once. So you can go ahead and do that. And then we'll hold this here. Having our hand on the wall is going to allow us to focus a bit more on our actual chest muscles, the ones you probably felt in those push-ups and those chest presses, rather than your shoulders, where you can get, if you reach behind your back like this, is another way to do this one, but it usually targets a bit more of that actual shoulder themselves. But again, if you're sort of short on time and you want to get these stretches in, that is another way that you can do this one. It's just reaching behind your back. So we'll go ahead and switch sides. If you're doing a single side, you can stay in that hold upward to a minute. If again, you're trying to improve your posture and open up your chest. Last one we're going to do is for our back. So I'm going to use this here bookcase. Hold on to either side, and you can again use your TRX or even a doorknob holding each side of the door handle. And then we are going to hold on, make sure it's a stable thing so it's not going to fall on us, and then lean back, and that's going to give us that opening stretch down our lats, our back muscles. We'll also feel this in the lower back, maybe even in the back of the legs. And again, we'll hang out here for about 30, upward to 60 seconds if you want to stay here a little bit longer. This one just feels dang good after all the stuff, all the back work we did, all the upper body stuff. And we'll breathe into this one here. So again, if you want to go back and do another round of that stuff, the other one that I wanted to show you that we're not going to do together, but you might want to do on your own to finish up that one there, is for your triceps. So if you're really feeling those arm muscles from all the work we did in them, you reach behind your back, over your head, and then pulling that arm towards your ear. And again, 30 to 60 seconds on one side, switching towards the other side. And then you can go back, repeat the circuit, leave that one out, whatever you want to do, but you, all of you, are done with me. So thank you so much for another upper body strength and conditioning session. Thanks, Tanis, for hanging out in the Zoom room. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow for a full body, and hopefully you have a great day. And my replay watchers, thanks for joining in.
hope you also feel good. I will see you soon, and that you enjoyed that session. Probably enjoy it now more than then because it is done. Okay, have a great day, everyone. Bye.